Hey all, hello, welcome to a new video. Um, Today I wanted to discuss what for me is a very interesting topic, that is parasocial relationships. I hope I'm saying that correctly. As you know, I'm not an English speaker natively. So my brain goes to like paranormal paranormal relationships, but it is not what we're talking about here. You know, but still kind of funny to me. What I mean, this concept, it's very interesting to me as a former anthropology student who wanted to go into archaeology, and uh, this is the first channel that I'm going to reference. Both of these channels don't need my reference at all or my shout out at all, but they are like kind of inspirations to me or channels that I watch and enjoy. And in this field, I'm going to reference Tiny Blue Dancer. I'm going to link their channel below, down below. And the first idea of this kind of relationship that I've seen her mention was while referencing Amberlyn Reed. And if you don't know who ALR is, well, okay. You are lucky. But seriously, though, Amberlyn is a YouTuber who has been around for about 10 years already, and she's notorious for being morbidly obese, but that is not what the real issue is. There are many of her personality traits that are kind of questionable, and why many of us kind of are very critical of her actions and never of her body or how she looks. But on the contrary, kind of, we are kind of worried, or we kind of say, "Girl, uh, get it together, maybe." We're worried about you. Uh, but why I reference this is because of this kind of relationship, this parasocial relationship. I hope I'm saying this right. You know that I still don't have editing skills, so whatever mistakes I make, they are out there. Uh, I'm willing to learn. If anyone wants to leave comments on below, I will read them and everything, and I will be grateful. But Tiny Blue Dancer made a point in the sense that Amberlyn usually looks at her audience in that sense, that she's kind of in that kind of relationship with her audience. And it's a very interesting point that she made, and I cannot really do justice to that, so I will just let you all go to her channel and watch it. But it is very interesting, like kind of like the camera lens is not just the camera lens, but it's like kind of a friend, if you know what I mean. And I feel that I can relate to that. uh, I am a person with a level of self-awareness that sometimes is kind of scary. Uh, Not because I'm better than anyone else, but because sometimes I see my own flaws and I say like, "Wow, girl, you are doing this." And sometimes it's like a car crash, and you're in the passenger seat and you cannot stop it, you know. And sometimes you say, "Okay, I see what I'm doing, and I'm going to stop it." Mm. I bring this into the conversation not because I think it's such a tragic thing what I'm doing or whatever. But if you have watched any of my previous videos, like I'm a person with borderline personality disorder, trying to bring some awareness to the topic. Currently an immigrant in Europe, Latina, um, with zero actual equipment to film, um, no microphone, no lights, proper like ring light, no editing skills, no nothing. And just here going through it and saying, okay, I'm going to take this creative outlet as a way to help myself and maybe make others feel less alone, and in that sense I feel um, that the potential audience that I have, that is very little of course at this point, I feel that I can have that kind of relationship that, okay, I'm being heard, you know? I'm not sure. Again, I studied anthropology many years ago. I wasn't sure in which field I was going to go into. I handle human remains, if you think that is interesting, because I was like biological or physical anthropology. Then there was ethnography, like social anthropology, that I found very interesting. I did study linguistics, of course. I was really considering archaeology as a branch of anthropology. And everyone was telling me, oh, you're going to end up working at a museum. What are you doing with your life? Blah, blah, blah. This is so useless. And then I say, oh, what, I want to follow my dreams. And then it was like, girl, you also have OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder. And in my case, like, it did manifest in like germophobia, and I couldn't touch dirt and blah blah blah. And I say, well, but there are other fields. I like within archaeology, I don't need to be digging dirt. I can do data. I can do this and that. But okay, then life circumstances, like, well, my mother's death, um, made me have to actually quit uni at that point and just go to work and earn money. Sometimes it happens to all of us. So in that point, I feel like sharing my story and saying, okay, you are kind of all my friends. I don't know you, but you hear me and you see me. Mm, I'm not really qualified to make any of these statements. It's just what I feel. And then there is this other channel that I really want to reference, that of course doesn't need a shout out from me because she's awesome and bigger than me and all that. And it's Dinark Alert. And the one who runs that channel, her name is Merck. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Um, and this is just a person who deals in her personal life with a very close relative, uh, with her mother, who has a cluster B personality disorder, which in this case is narcissistic personality disorder of, NPD. And what she does in her channel is kind of mapping traits of this disorder that YouTubers or celebrities or whoever could have. And she also happens to very often go back to this other previous YouTuber that I mentioned, Amberlyn Reed, who seems to display traits of this disorder. And myself, as a person with borderline personality disorder, I do see traits of both of those disorders in her. So the point of this video was just like, okay, I'm having some tea, and green tea as I usually have. Um, I'm still kind of going through some rough time in my life, and I'm still trying to figure things out, and I still don't have any equipment. And I realized that having someone on the other side of the lens, not even of the camera, because right now this is just my phone that I'm holding. It means a lot. And I was thinking from an anthropological point of view that is very interesting as a person um, who has studied that. I have a deep love for that field, even if I have never worked there. And then hearing Tiny Blue Dancer in her Ask Me Anything video ranting, but bear in mind she's in the USA and I was born in South America. Now I'm located in Europe. Uh, it doesn't mean that I wouldn't be making any crazy money from that, but it was very interesting to hear her sharing her experience in that. And then it was very interesting for me to have a response from Merck, uh, and it was like, okay, none of them are my friends. I understand that, like, but the three of us, and bear in mind, like Tiny Blue Dancer never even kind of directly addressed me. She replied to some of my comments. Merck addressed me more directly. But it's this idea that, okay, I'm kind of lonely at this point. I'm going through some heavy stuff, and the validity of this kind of relationship, which is usually like one-sided, you know. And don't take anything that I say at face value. Take everything with a grain of salt, because again, I'm not a professional in any of these fields. Um, but I just find it very, very interesting, and it's just I wanted to talk about how two YouTubers that I actually follow made me feel, and leaving aside ALR, that I don't think she will ever reference me, or maybe she will consider me a hater, whatever. But there is that, and it was like, okay, this was like kind of a highlight of my day, and mm, there's a lot to think about in that sense, is it good, is it bad? I don't know. I'm not here to say any of that, because if you are feeling lonely and someone several kilometers away from you makes you feel better, is that bad? I don't know. I wouldn't say so. um, is it better to have uh, in real life connections that can support you, that can give you a hug, that you can go for a walk and a coffee with? I would say yes. I also wouldn't diminish the value of this kind of relationships, as long as you are aware of what this is, you know. And that is when I think the tricky part is. And I think that is like when things get blurry sometimes, like when with celebrities and this and that, and when it's like completely one-sided and blind, and you think that that person is completely your whole world, or this and that. um, I don't think this at all. I just appreciate very much the two YouTubers I've mentioned, even though they are probably not fully aware of my existence, and that's totally fine. The same, I can mention Zachary Michael, and he has never ever addressed me at all, but he just makes me smile and with his dogs and stuff. Um, so, uh, did I make any kind of good anthropological analysis of any sort? No, of course not. Probably if a Tiny Blue Dancer ever sees this, she will be cringing hard, probably. And I think if Merck ever since this, she will say, "Okay, girl, yes, you are just seeing traits and whatever," and that's fine. I admire both of them, and why I think this is a good thing in my case is because I was again struggling with severe anxiety and severe, depression, and thinking, "Oh, well, maybe I'm not good enough, and I know I have a lot to learn, and maybe I shouldn't post any videos until I learn how to edit, until I have a good microphone, like I see, Alex is shook, or the same Zach that I mentioned before, or whoever, or Tyler from You Guys Have to Realize, whatever, whoever you, or Merck herself, and a beautiful sign, a neon sign, I have none of that, and I will not have any of that anytime soon. But again, I think it's important, like, to get started whenever you can, and you just get started with what you have and do what you can. And again, as a person with borderline, uh, that is a struggle, because usually you want perfection, and perfection is not something that you can achieve, because perfection is not a thing. Perfection does not exist. You can get as close to your ideal of perfect as you can ever be, but you will never be perfect. So, putting myself out there right now, with all the things that I have mentioned that I don't like about myself, my body image issues, my accent, very clear, not a native English speaker, uh, my lack of knowledge in many things. I know I can be very criticized by talking about anthropology, that I was just a student who had to quit, and I'm really not educated enough to talk about the topic, or anyone with the same personality disorder I have, and I say, "Hey, you're wrong in this," or whatever, whatever. Okay, this is all, like, my experience. And I decided that it was okay just to share, like, it was okay to share my train of thoughts, and I think it can always encourage someone, and that's the main point of all this, after all. Like, it makes me feel like it's not for nothing, and it truly makes me want to grow and to learn. Like, I have no idea how to edit, and believe me, you may think that I'm so dumb, and maybe you are right. But I have Googled, and I have no idea. I wanted to do a proper reaction. I'm not sure how good I'm going to be at reactions. And probably I'm going to be terrible at first. And then I thought, okay, Gabby, you are probably going to be terrible at first, but no one, or nearly anyone, is great at what they do at the first attempt. So just go for it. It's just that I'm still trying to figure out how to screen record, and, many other things. But I know I will get there, because I have the will to get there. And so right now my videos are just this, me sitting down and talking and ranting, and you guys, whoever you are there, just hanging out with me and listening to me, and I appreciate that so very much. uh, so I thought this was a very interesting topic. um, it's a topic really within my fields of interest. I'm much more of a nerd than you may think, and I am just very grateful to be able to share whatever it is that I want to share at any given moment. And there are people out there who are willing to listen. I think that is just a beautiful thing. Okay. So, thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.